Naomi Const here live in Phoenix for the DNC Forum. We're getting ready to see Congressman Keith Ellison speak in front of his supporters to talk about, what his vision is for the party. But this is specifically geared to youth. This is what this event is about. We have the nurses unions who are everywhere I go. I see these red shirts and I feel like I'm at home. We are so honored to have the co-president of NNU, Jean Ross. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Very glad to be here. Very excited.
Now, you guys have endorsed Keith Ellison.
Yes.
You're from Minnesota.
I am.
How long have you known the congressman?
Since I became aware of who he was. It's been many years now. He's just done wonderful things, not just for us as nurses and for Minnesotans, but anybody that knows Keith knows there's a reason you can trust him. He's got this ability to bring very disparate groups together. He's been solidly on the right side of history with all his votes. And he's the kind of person who doesn't back away from a fight. And we need that now.
When you look at the other candidates in the race and Keith Ellison, the congressman came in early and got a lot of support and probably the traditional Bernie support, but a little bit, he's had some endorsements from, Senator Schumer and some other union chairs. Why do you think he's been able to bridge that gap between the establishment and the reformers?
Well, that's a very good question. He's always been good with the youth, I will tell you that. He took his area where he's from back home in Minnesota in the Twin Cities from an area that had really, really poor voter turnout to not just the best in the state when the rest of us fell down, but actually the best in the country. So he knows how to talk to different groups. And it's what we agree on as nurses, too. The things that we fight for in this country are not partisan issues. They're things that working people need, people who work for a living. Bernie understood that. Keith understands that. I mean, it's not by accident that we work together with him.
What do you think he can do specifically to change the culture of the Democratic Party so that more community activists get elected?
I think he can make it chic to organize. And we would agree with him in that. We jokingly say, but it's true as nurses, Keith Ellison is good for your health. His attitude and what he stands for and what we stand for, those are the kinds of things this country needs. I mean, if you look at what he's authored in legislation, the Inclusive Prosperity Act, which is our Robin Hood tax, that has the elements of money for all the things that are ailing us. Secure retirement, so people don't have to die in poverty. A secure retirement, so your Social Security is not taken away. Medicare for all, free college, so that you can afford to send people there, our best and our brightest, who want to go and not end up in debt forever. All those things can be accomplished with something as simple as that financial transaction tax. Keith understands that. The things that he fights for are things that are going to enable us to change this country for the better.
Do you think that Congressman Ellison will be able and willing to get rid of some of the corporate culture in the party that is fighting against the Robin Hood tax?
Yeah, well, when I said earlier he doesn't back away from a fight, that's what I'm talking about. Multinational corporations they're the countries right now. They're what are controlling things. Wall Street, everybody knows what we mean when we say Wall Street. Keith knows what we mean when we say Wall Street. It's no accident, that the Occupy movement coined the phrase, the 99%. We are the 99%. Anybody that works for a living can understand what he's fighting for, what we're fighting for. And in order to do that, the only party that makes sense, of course, is the Democrats, but we're having to just kind of push them to be a little bit more progressive than they have been in the past.
What kind of folks need to be recruited across the country to change politics?
Well, people like us, people that work for a living. I've heard so many people say, we think it's wonderful what you do, and they mean sometimes nurses are just individuals. And I always say to them, that's nice. It's nice to get accolades, but you need to step up. I'm not getting any younger. Mm-hmm. The youth, which again, I'd say Keith has this great ability to bring the youth along, just as Bernie did. They actually are going to be our salvation. And I can see it. I know a lot of people say, oh, we're doomed. Look at the youth. They've got their noses buried in their phones and nobody's paying attention. But they are. And that's something I found out when we traveled across the country campaigning for both Keith and for Bernie. They do know what's going on and they are upset about it and they are going to do something about it.
How many places have you gone to on behalf of Congressman Ellison at this point? States, locations? What's the vibe you're feeling?
I've been calling all across the country, every DNC member that I can get a hold of, and I've been doing that from back home in Minnesota. This is my first city. I've got 3 others slated to go to talk to individuals. Just, everywhere we go, we talk. And people who shouldn't have heard about Keith Ellison before are picking up. They know who he is now, and they're very, very supportive, which is good to see.
Just a procedural question about the DNC. It's confusing for those who aren't Democratic Party members. Even the members haven't been in a situation like this in several years. What will it take to revive the membership base of the Democratic Party? Because there's a lot of people who've been there for a long time who have their favorites, play by the old set of rules. But if we have to change the culture of the Democratic Party, we also have to clean that up a little bit.
I think people need to see a party that's actually fighting for us. And I'll say it again, the working class, those of us that work for a living. And I don't mean you have to be dirt poor. I'm not. But I set an alarm every morning. I get up, I go to work, right? Those of us that don't sit around a pool and collect our dividend checks, those are the ones of us that you've got to be looking out to. We will help you. We will support you with legislation, but you've got to fight. Even if you lose, you have to prove to us that you're fighting for what's best for us. I mean, people are tired of fighting for half measures that we don't want in the first place and losing anyway. So you got to prove that you can fight for us, for what's right, what's good for people in this country.
A little bit separate from the DNC fight right now, there was a vote 2 days ago, a vote about lowering pharmaceutical costs, and the Democrats lost this vote, while there were about a dozen Republicans who actually voted, like Ted Cruz and John McCain, who voted with the Democrats. How do you feel about having Democrats out there voting against lowering prescription drug costs? Is that sort of clean up the culture that needs to happen? Should those people be primaried?
Well, I won't go so far as to say should they be primaried. They certainly should have a stiff talking to. I think there were 13 of them that voted the quote-unquote wrong way. And their excuses, their reasons, they are just excuses. I'm sorry. And we're not foolish. We're not stupid. We know their excuses. And, there's a lot to clean up. Money in politics. We understand why congresspeople sometimes vote the way they do. Doesn't make it okay.
Meaning a lot of these folks accept money from pharmaceutical companies.
Absolutely. That's who's running the world. Pharmaceuticals, drug companies, hospital corporations, oil. Those are the kinds of people, entities. They're not even people, they're entities that are running this world, and we've had enough of it. It needs to change because it's literally killing us.
Do you think if this dirty dozen, baker's dozen of Democrats weren't making decisions like that, weren't controlled by pharmaceutical industries, we'd be able to have single payer?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what we're going to push toward, because that's the only thing that's going to work. You can talk about all kinds of tweaking. The time for tweaking is over. The only thing that's going to benefit patients and other people in this country is going to be Medicare for all. Bernie understood that. Keith understands that. We've championed it for years. We're not going to give up. So, yes.
I love how you say fight, because while the narrative is changing right now with Republicans saying they're going to repeal and replace with no solution, as of today, they still don't have a solution. The Democrats have a solution. They're just not bringing it up. So I think you're right on the same page. It's all about fighting.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for being here and for organizing and always showing up. Always, everywhere you go, the red shirts. Thank you.
Somebody's got to do it.
I'm Nomi Const here live in Phoenix for the DNC Forum, where we're waiting to see Congressman Keith Ellison speak for it's a youth forum. Is this what this is? What is a youth event? What is it about the Democratic Party that you think needs to be changed?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things is that we need to start working for change. That work goes from the bottom up. I mean, as Bernie said, as Keith said, it involves unity. It involves making sure that we're actually working for the people, and we need to decide what type of party the Democratic Party needs to be. Is it going to be a party that is going to work for the 99% or the 1%? You can't choose both sides, and so that's what really speaks to me about Keith, is his positive message. You see the National Nurses United back here. I mean, this is one of the most diverse rooms I've seen at this hotel. So, I mean, it's a beautiful event. It really is kind of what the United States is all about. Just every type of person and every type of creed is here. So it's a beautiful thing.
We found a DNC member here at a Keith Ellison event before the DNC Forum. What's your name?
My name is Malaha Rafi. I'm part of the California delegation, newly elected to the DNC, and ready to revolutionize our party.
What do you want?
Unity. And I want to win again. We used to win as Democrats, and I want to win again, and I know with Keith we're going to win again.
So I'm actually an undocumented student here. I came to the United States when I was 6 from Argentina, and it's really been an involvement of how I became involved through being empowered by others who I could identify with. When I was younger, I grew up in primarily white middle-class neighborhoods and schools, and so I didn't have anybody to tell me that I could be whatever I wanted to be no matter what my immigration status was. And so that is when I began to be involved in citizenship fairs and organizing for causes like in-state tuition for DACA students and driver's licenses. And I even worked on the Bernie Sanders campaign from December all the way until June at the DNC. And so it's been an involvement of growing and being the person that I am today and continuing, even though I can't vote, to make sure that others do it for me.
What is it about Keith Ellison's message that speaks to you as opposed to the other candidates in the race?
Very simply, it's change. It's that he is young, he is Muslim, he is a man of color, and he wants to listen to young people. He doesn't just want to brush us aside. So that's the main thing.
This is a beautiful room right here. We have the most diverse party. We have the most diverse individuals who are sitting up. Keith Ellison. I have watched Keith Ellison. I had spent time with him. We actually belong to the same group, Local Progress. I am taking a look right now to make sure that we know that we have someone that not only is going to unite us, but they are a key organizer at the grassroots level. He is the person that's going to bring our party together for unity, and he has the experience. Now, please forgive him if he's running a little bit late tonight. Maybe he's taking care of some business on the United States Congress floor to ensure that millions of Americans are able to hold on to their health care insurance.
And he has the potential to not just convert our leaders, but to be building more of door knockers, our organizers, and putting them out into the field. That's the kind of values he has. That's the kind of top-down leadership that we're gonna get.
The person who embodies the change we need at the DNC and around the country is Representative Keith Ellison. Who is no stranger to standing with the people. It is time to take our future into our own hands, just like I did when I was 18 years old. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Representative Keith Ellison.
Get up, everybody! How you doing, Democrats? Y'all all right? Well, let me tell you, man, I just jumped off that plane a few minutes ago, and coming from Washington, D.C. I was supposed to be on an earlier flight, but the Trump-inspired Republicans felt it was important to begin their effort to strip 20 million people from health care. The Trump-inspired Republicans figured it was their duty to try to ram through a general and get rid of the rule of 7 years, gotta be out of the military. They're like, forget that, we want our military guy now. They put that rule in place so that they would not have a bunch of military people running the civilian government, because our government's supposed to be run by civilians. They don't like that rule, and so they're trying to change that. But I'm gonna tell you, this week, all week long, I had people call me up telling me that that lifetime ban, that thing where we can get health care and it won't get thrown off our policy, that annual situation where we can get our kids on our health care till they're 26, the fact that we can get insurance if we got pre-existing conditions, all of these things, people were calling up this week talking about how much pain is going to be in their lives if they strip this health care bill and just get rid of it. I had people calling seniors saying, look, Medicare is supposed to be covering us, but the Affordable Care Act actually helps fill in the donut hole. Yeah. So if you get rid of it, that means that my medication is going to be higher than it is, and I'm barely making it now. But these people really don't care, because there's no repeal and replace, y'all. It's just repeal and best of luck. That's what it is. Because the Affordable Care Act has within it taxes that pay for folks who cannot afford all that insurance. And if you strip that, you strip them. And by the way, they've been talking about the Affordable Care Act for 6 years, and they ain't come up with no replacement yet. And I don't suspect they're about to come up with one anytime soon.
60 times and 0 solutions.
What he said, 60 times and 0 solutions. But you know, what they're doing on the Affordable Care Act, taking health care away from people, is just one of the many horrible things they're up to. That whole build a wall mess, you know, they want to destroy even the environment.
That's right.
In Arizona. You know, that wall, if they ever did do it, it would ruin the environment. It would harm people. It would cause human toll on folks who are living, just trying to survive and earn a living. Their Muslim registry they want to have, you know. I'm gonna tell you what, I've had a lot of people who are Jewish and no faith at all, and Christian, and you know, maybe even Hindus say that if you have a Muslim registry, I'm gonna sign up as a Muslim.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if justice can't be for all of us, it can't be for none of us. Right? So I'm here to just say to you that we are in a historic moment in American history where everybody who loves this country and all of the people in it have to step up and do what must be done in order to preserve real respect for everyone and economic opportunity for everyone. If you believe that this country is for the many, not the money, it's time for you to step up. If you believe in liberty and justice for all, then it's time to step up. This is that moment. And that is why I am willing to leave the United States Congress in order to be the DNC chair, because voter suppression is a strategic goal that they have. They work on voter suppression. They got a public relations campaign on voter suppression. In my community in Minneapolis, they got posters with people with their handcuffs behind their back saying that if you vote illegally, you will be prosecuted. And where do they put them? They put them in the bus stops and places like that to scare people. Don't think for a minute that we should not be aiming at these secretaries of state's office, these county recorders' offices. We've got to control the instrumentality of the election, because we don't fear competing with them, but they do fear competing with us, which is why they use these offices to suppress the vote. We can make Nevada eat bluer. Not only that, we can go into California and some of these places where they still got some little red spots and chase them out. You know, we can go up to Washington and chase them out of the Spokane area, you know what I mean, and beat them there. You know, we can go up to Idaho and give them the business up there. I'm gonna tell you, we can run the table on them, but the real thing we have to do is stop running these minimalist campaigns. Let me tell you how Democrats have been campaigning. We ignore all the blue states because we think we got them. We ignore all the red states because we think we don't got them. Then we go to the states that are left behind, and then we only talk to the voters who are likely to vote. And then we only talk to them through the television set, through negative advertising. What if we actually talked to the people in the red states? What if we actually went door to door in the red states, in Idaho, in Wyoming, right? What if we put some money into these states? What if we went on the campuses? What if we fired up the young people? What if we did these things? What if we went to all the blue states and said, look, your voter turnout is good, but what if it was even higher? Then we could chase all these senators out. We could turn the legislature blue. Right? What if we did that? What if we didn't just talk to the likely voter? What if we talked to everybody? What if we talked to everybody? We have to support the college Democrats. Do you know that the college Republicans get a budget of about $5 million? You know what our budget for college Democrats is? Zippo, nothing, nada. You were like, you know, good luck, you know, to tell us how you make out. And all over this campus, young people have as much on the line as anybody else. We got to be there for them. And I'm not saying we got $5 million to hand over tomorrow, But I'm saying we ought to give them something. Who will run? Who will run to be the election officer? The Secretary of State. There you go. That's what we need. I'm not kidding. We gotta have people in this moment saying, I will. You know what I mean? I will run for office. I will be the campaign manager. I will work on that ballot initiative. We need people to stand up and volunteer to do stuff in this moment, because that's what this moment calls for. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Every single American ought to stand up and give you guys a hats off bow, because you got rid of that guy, Joseph Arpaio. If we put a little time, energy, and resources, couldn't we flip Texas? Couldn't we flip Arizona? Couldn't we flip Wyoming? If we care a little bit more, and we're just looking to win an election, but we're looking to connect with Americans, empower our brothers and sisters, and give them a higher quality of life, maybe then we would win the election too. Embed the idea in our hearts that our color and our religion and the culture we come from and who we fall in love with and all that stuff, none of that stuff is nearly as important as the soul that beats within that chest, as the person beneath all of that stuff. No matter what wrapping they come in, whether they pray on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. The real thing is, and all of our faith traditions tell us that it is about what you do, not just what you say. Right. Your faith is not something you put on and take off, nor is it something you hang around your neck. Your faith is how you treat other people. And all the books say so. Am I right or wrong? Right. So what I'm saying is, it's a new day, it's a new time. We're going to put some move back in the movement. The Democratic Party is not for the Democrats. The Democratic Party is for the American people. We are going to fashion ourselves into unified, organizing, fighting machine, and we are going to roll this whole thing back. Get ready for a real revolution. It's coming. Get on board, everybody. Thank you all very much.